But yeah, man. Let's move it on forward. Um, James,
Yep.
it has been nearly 11 months since Kenny Omega was involved in being an active professional wrestler.
Huh.
And now, all the way in Shinnehan Pro Wrestling, the best bout machine is risen. We have awaited. We have watched this wrestling business just fall upon hard times. We have watched in silence the Omega Army. We have watched just the world just forget about them. We have watched, you know, this guy get talked about like a dog. We have watched these people try to rehash his importance in New Japan Pro Wrestling historically, just, and on a day-to-day level. He's back, and I'm happy, and I'm excited, and I can't wait. And I can't wait for January 5th when he steps in the ring with Gabe Kidd. And my God, James, I was out here just seeing the angle this morning. Kenny Omega cuts this great promo, welcome back promo. Crowds going nuts, women screaming, incredible reception at Power Struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Does an angle backstage with Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd attacks him. Of course, this is a reference from Kenny Omega mentioned Gabe Kidd in a couple of the comeback interviews that he's been doing, for New Japan in the, like the sit downs. They had a Twitter exchange earlier this year, which I'm sure, we can look back on now and be like, oh, this is where this was headed. He's calling him Greg Kidd or Great Kid, which is hilarious. And man, I guess I found out today, James, how many people do not like Gabe Kidd. Because here I am just tweeting about my excitement for seeing this. And I was talking to Josh this weekend, by the way. Josh, all that Okada shit. This man, Josh, taught all this Okada shit just to pop himself for months. I can't wait for Keeping It Straw Style on Wednesday. I saw I was tweeting about, what this reminded me. I was talking to Josh. I was like, yo, there's like an element of like, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1996. Like, it's this guy, this loudmouth, wild man brawler, calling this guy
Traditional
out.
wrestler versus a young versus an asshole.
Yeah, like calling this
Okay.
guy out. This guy that's a legend, that's from Canada, like
Mm-hmm.
that is like, known to be a great worker and all this stuff. Has tons of incredible matches or whatever, and he's called out by this abrasive loudmouth guy essentially
Mm-hmm.
in his a wild fight, and it's like, oh, okay, like that's kind of what and that was an awesome program. I'm not talking about the 97 element, like with all the double turning and all
You're
that.
just talking about Survivor Series.
Yeah, I'm talking about Survivor Series, and
Yeah.
then talking about like how beloved Bret Hart was, and shit like that.
Right.
And then, man, the Ko-Fi Twitter, the people with the anime and not showing they self, just lost their fucking minds apparently, while being far outnumbered by people that were positively engaging with it and knowing what I was talking about and understanding the comprehension behind all of this. I was like, huh. So like,
You're pointing out the parallels, not saying that Gabe Kidd is going to be the biggest wrestler in the industry for like 2 years.
so
Yeah,
like
yeah, I get
there
you.
there was that, and then there was like, he's unsafe and all this, and he's gonna do this to Kenny. I'm like, one, Eddie Kingston shouldn't have been doing that move. Like, he had no business out here taking a flip bump over the top rope with near a table near the gate. Like, you too damn big for that, Eddie Kingston. I'm not blaming Gay Kid for that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so are we at this thing where if you hurt one person, you've hurt a million?
Bro,
Like,
somebody replied to me that was like, it like basically saying, yeah, that would be the same if, Stone Cold Steve Austin was dangerous and hurt opponents in the ring. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why don't you look up Steve Austin Masahiro Chono and then get back to me? This person never replied to me. So
they probably didn't know that existed. They're probably wait, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Russell Chono. First off, who is Chono?
yeah.
What is New Japan? Like, wait, there was New Japan Pro Wrestling back then.
Yeah, so Kenny cuts his promo, says New Japan Pro Wrestling is the best pro wrestling in the world. He's signed somewhere else to AEW, but he considers New Japan home and all this stuff. And this goes over really well. Twitter's going crazy, crowd's going crazy. And then, the derangement, syndrome sets in. James, it's been a while. I needed a fresh hit of it. I needed a fresh dose of these people acting irrational, about Kenneth J. Omega. Like,
is it the same when it's like they upset about the opponent and not actually him, though?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, what's wrong with Gabe Kidd? Like, I'm excited about this. I think Gabe Kidd's a good wrestler. People think this guy absolutely stinks.
Do you think it's a thing where, like, the persona, the gimmick is so abrasive, it's works people the wrong way? Do you think that's what's happened?
That could be it.
Because remember, like, that's the reason why I'm like, hey man, remember I told you, like, look, man, I don't care how good he is, like, I'm not like that is a great in character. Like, that's what I mean by that is like, I know he's a good wrestler, I've seen him wrestle before, but like, does you calling random people pussies, like, at random on Twitter, like, at a certain point, like, people will be like, all right, like, when does the gimmick begin and when does it end? So I can see that being a part of it. And also,
like, we're wasting Kenny Omega matches and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, look, this man is not announced no retirement tour, none of that. He's good to go. He's cleared. I'm going to treat the nigga as such. I'm not going to treat him with kid gloves. Talking about, yeah, there's only 5 available matches, so I'm going to shit my own legs and shit my pants anytime someone gets announced that I don't want in the ring with this guy. Man, fuck off. Like, stop being so possessive and controlling over, like, a booking. It's a match. It's not like, I don't know. I think people are acting irrational. What would you prefer? For him to wrestle for the IWGP Championship and win? Because I got news for you. If that happened, he's going over. Is that what you want?
I will say this, like, a Saber Okada match, a Saber Omega match would be, I do want to see that. I do want to see that. Like in 2025, I do want to see that. But but I'm with you. Like, I don't want to see that be the main event of the Dome show.
I'm like,
because if he beat that nigga with a one-wing angel in the middle of the ring, it's look, I can already see the motherfuckers that was upset, years ago, being upset again.
Look, and I'm ready for the fight. We won
those people, and those people are already sick of AEW hoeing New Japan, so it only continues that.
I'm like,
and it will drive me more nuts. Because, like, the New Japan fans will be happy if he was an IWGP champion again because they miss him. That would drive me more insane.
I'm like all fools. Look, be happy. Be happy as Gabe Kidd, right? Be happy as a dude y'all don't even really love like that, right? But
yeah,
I don't know, man. Like, they, one way or the other, they got to catch up. They got to deal with it because the Best Bout Machine is coming back to the Tokyo Dome. So there's no way to ruin that for me. Like, unless you tell me he's going in there with Evil or something. Like, like there's a big difference. He could wrestle Tanahashi. I wouldn't give a fuck. Like, I don't.
Are we still going to get that tag match, or are we ever going to? No, that's done because Tanahashi's wrapping it up. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. They might get in the ring sometime. So I think what's going on is there might be an injury to Nick Jackson with his shoulder or whatever. So, like, they may have, like, scrapped that planned tag team match. But
okay.
Yeah, man. Like, whatever, like I look, I don't want our one man army stand on business about this shit. I don't care about none of these people that's hiding they faces behind anime graphics and Ko-Fi links begging for donations to give matches 3 1/4. Like, I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, I yeah, man. So another thing, speaking of people wrestling, the IWGP champion, after Saber's match with Shingo Takagi, Ricochet jumps up on the top rope in some Stacey Adams and does a springboard.
They weren't actually Stacey Adams, he's being a jerk.
I saw Stokely say some shit about that on Twitter.
Okay.
This man jumps up in a dress suit and does a springboard and jumps on Zack Sabre Jr. James, and I'm here to let y'all know Ricochet did that shit for me. Like, he did it for me. Why? Flips, nigga. Flips. Fuck them arm bars, nigga. Like,
the funniest part about it was like the crowd was like, oh shit, it's Ricochet. They're happy to see you. We ain't seen you in a minute either. Like, well, then again, he's showing up a couple places in Japan already, but it's like, because he showed up at Glate, right? Yeah, but they were like the New Japan fans, and I think it was the right place to do it because Power Struggle also did the Super Juniors tag stuff. So it's also like, oh, okay, one of the best juniors we ever had is showing back up. They were happy to see him, and like, I want to see that match. That's an interesting match. I wonder how that's going to go.
January 5th is going to be, Zack Sabre still the champion. It'll be Zack Sabre versus Ricochet for the IWGP title, and that should be a fun match. If you inject James, could they have possibly set this up any better for Rich Latta? Kenny Omega's coming back, and then Ricochet jumps out on a nigga at the main event. Are they booking for me, James? James, do they want me back, James?
Look, man, I heard good things about Power Struggle. Besides what we already talked about, like, I heard this was a good ass show.
Look,
so like, I need to actually watch it. Like, the first time I need to watch New Japan since the G1, honestly. So yeah, like, I'm in to watch this over the week.
All you gotta do is clear them shitters out, like Sonata and Evil.
You hear about Sonata?
And move all them niggas to the side. Yes.
You hear about Sonata though?
Yes, that man joined the War Dolls. That man's in a sub faction now.
Yes.
You are no longer a unit leader.
Rich.
Fuck off.
Technically, him and Evil are back on the same side.
Yeah.
After all that bullshit, which means what? Naito was, as we always said, them dudes are drifting off of Naito's success. They always were. And when they went out there on their own, what happened? Subunits. They signed to a nigga that said they signed to that nigga.
Yes, they're all signed to David Finlay in a 360 deal. Like,
yeah. So there you go. And I heard Finlay had a good match the other night or last night. So I'll check that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Like, I've heard some good things about some bright stuff, as opposed to being like they ain't got nobody, like, especially because they were harping on like it looks like it should be Umino.
It's gonna be January 4th. Umino versus Sabre.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Any issue with Kenny Omega doing his return in New Japan Pro Wrestling or whatever, and not for AEW, or do you find that interesting at all?
Do I have issue with it? You asked me if I have issue with it?
Yeah.
No. Because it's January 5th, correct?
January 5th, yeah.
Isn't that a co-branded show that is technically also an AEW show? What's the problem?
You would think, but he returned at Power Struggle, too.
Oh, you talking about that? You talking about, you returned to that? Look, hey, guess what? That promo happened. How many people do you think aren't going to tune in for his AEW return when he does that? 50 people? 50 people? Be like, oh, I already saw it.
It's already been blown off for me.
No one's doing that.
Look,
like no one. That's not affecting the potential of the rating.
Look, speaking as a Kenny Omega fan, until AEW can prove to me that they are going to push Kenny Omega better than New Japan Pro Wrestling does, or present him as such, I don't give a fuck how much he works in New Japan. Why don't we just let that keep happening? Because maybe they will actually use this guy up to his potential.
I mean, I ain't got no argument with that. Like, my favorite Kenny Omega is still New Japan Kenny Omega. So,